But the positive thing I learned from the Jewish culture that I loved and wanted to imitate in the black church, even here in Fresno, all of my Jewish friends in high school, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday were given an early dismissal. Why? Because they had to go to synagogue school. Because in synagogue school, they learned their own history and their own heritage. And I maintained the whole time I was a pastor that the black church needed to do the same thing. While we sitting around waiting for the public school system to start teaching black history, which they ain't gonna do, we need to have our own schools and our own churches like the synagogues had them for the Jewish people.
Never have truer words ever been spoken. Family, family, family. If you do not get this message, we need to stop talking about Jew nation building. Oh, hey, all right, family, listen, man. So, pastor, doctor, elder, honorable Jeremiah Wright. I know some of y'all gonna take that the wrong way because a lot of y'all listen to a lot of the fake news. It's fake, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, drops jewels, and jewels oftentimes come very, very free. All you gotta do is take some time to do some wisdom mining. So Jeremiah was speaking. I'm thinking of Fresno State. I'm not, I'll find a link to the video and post it in this so that you can go and see the whole speech, because the whole speech was marvelous. But of course, I got to bring you some of the Gye-Nyame jewels that I'm finding. And Elder describes some lessons he learned growing up. And he noted one of the lessons that he noticed, that he took note of, and he tried to implement himself, which is something that we as a Kwanzaa community and you as a brand ambassador for your own products need to take in mind. Education. We need to stop turning over the education for our brands as well as for our children to others, and we need to take it into our own hand. Now, at Gye-Nyame Journey, we're doing this venture called Kwanzaa365.media. So we have to go in and start educating our family about our ways. We got to start creating content along the lines of talking about our culture and talking about the principles that guide them, talking about all of our experiences from the beginning of time up until now. And the only way that we can make sure that our children get hold of this is if we do it. We cannot expect for others to do for us what we will not do for ourselves. If we are not willing to do it for ourselves, then we shouldn't expect it from nowhere else. So those of us that's calling ourselves warriors, those of us that's calling ourselves nation builders, those of us that's saying that we're conscious, those of us that's saying that we woke, those of us that say we're universal and that we're spiritual, we have to get our messages out there. Family, if you don't have an audience, you have a responsibility to build the audience. If you have an audience, you have a responsibility to educate the audience. As a brand maker, as a community person, we have a responsibility to educate our children and tell them our story. Reverend Wright talks about the Jewish community and how they did it on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. The young children were able to be released so that they could go be educated about themselves. And there's no reason why we can't do it. And especially now, during the time that we in. I don't know when you've seen this, right? Because right now, we're just now to 2021, but we are in the midst of lockdowns and children at home. How are we using this weapon called the internet? Are we using it to tell our story? Are we using it to build our brands? Are we using it to push our products? How are you using this? This same tool that is being used to mess up people's minds can also be used to uplift people's minds. Right now, we can go and set up e-courses. We can set up and write ebooks where we could start educating our young people. We could even have gathering spots on Gye-Nyame Journey Media, GNJ.media, or Kwanzaa365.media, because we rebranded, and it's hard for me to remember that, But I'll get it, right? The idea is that we can do exactly what Dr. Wright is talking about without having our children travel. We could set up private groups, or we could set up public groups where we are talking about our young people, about our history, why it's important, and their role and their responsibilities in it. They have to be taught this. This is not something that comes through osmosis, right? And we have to understand that these public institutions are designed to train our children to fit into the public that they are in. And in most cases, they're not in what we would consider our public. They are in the wider world's public. So they got to learn how to operate in there. So who's teaching them how things should be going in our community, how things should look? Who's telling those stories? Who's framing those folk tales and those myths and those legends and the actual history together so that a child can feel a sense of pride about where they come from, about where they live, about what they do? That responsibility falls on us, and it falls on you. And we here at GNJ.media can help you tell that story. We can help you broadcast it. We can help you shape and mold it. You know what I'm saying? Start working on your stuff. Stop waiting. Stop waiting. Now is the time for you to get out there and get your message out there. If there's no audience for it, it is your responsibility to build the audience for it. This is Brother Hatem. I want to thank you for joining us here on GNJ.media, also known as Kwanzaa365.media. And if you don't have your account, come on over to GNJ.media, GNJ.media, or better yet, Kwanzaa365.media. Just go to Kwanzaa365.media, sign up, and get your account. We're going to grow. We're creating our own platform, because remember, the goal is for us to get big, but not get big on these other platforms, to get big on our own. I ain't saying not to visit Facebook. I ain't saying not to visit YouTube. I ain't saying not to visit Twitter. I'm not saying, but we need to have our own platform. It's very important. Very important. And we could talk about that at a later date. But with that, I'm Brother Hatem, and I'm saying peace. Watch the next video. Watch the next video. Watch the next video. No, I'm just joking, family. Family, thank you for joining us. Be sure to catch us on the next video, family. Peace. Watch the next video. Watch.